For the first time ever, a seafarer hosts a live podcast at IMO Headquarters, London. +500 maritime delegates, 2 powerful women, 1 global conversation.
The shipping industry generally is invisible to the average citizen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the heart of the maritime world, which is the IMO headquarters. Today, we are conducting a special live event for the International Day for Women in Maritime. This event, which we are conducting, has never ever happened before in the history of shipping. By that, I mean a live podcast right from the headquarters. KSN Films has got this opportunity, thanks to IMO, to conduct this, and you are the first one who are going to witness this. And right now, I'm going to take you right inside the headquarters. Let's go. We are right now heading towards the main hall, and this is the IMO headquarters right now. Have a look at all the beautiful infrastructure which is out here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the IMO headquarters main hall. We are going to be doing a live podcast right over there. I'm going to show it to you. But this is the place where the whole life which I have lived for the maritime thing, 13 years, have been governed from this particular place with all the meetings and agendas being discussed here. What a place. So, Vishesh, if you point the camera there, guys, you will see that's the place where the Secretary General and all the big dignitaries sit and discuss topics on maritime safety, environment, pollution, you name it. And it's an honor and privilege to be standing here. In a few minutes, you'll see me sitting right over here and doing a live podcast with 2 other women seafarers, because that's the agenda we're going to decode today. While I was speaking and someone was shooting, that someone is not a nobody. It is Vishesh Parashar, the co-founder of KSN Films. He has specially flown in to London yesterday. Brother, please introduce yourself to the viewers watching it.
Yeah, I'd been invited by the IMO, that's why I flew.
But how do you feel, brother? We've come so far in 6 months.
It's been a crazy journey. I remember the first phone call both of us got onto that let's start podcasts about seafarers and maritime. And with every podcast, we had a new learning. With every podcast, we got a feedback about what do seafarers really want, what does our community really want. And every podcast, again, was built to be better, to be more useful for the entire community. And we made it with all our passion, with all our love, and that love and passion and your love got us over here.
And by the way, guys, this team works like this. He's the brain, the mastermind. I'm the instrument. So he feeds me and I feed it to you all. So let me put it that way. Without him, the podcast wouldn't have been possible. So Vishesh.
It's the perfect shipping team and marine engineer with a navigator.
Correct. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first ever live podcast from the heart of the maritime world, which is the IMO headquarters. I am your host for today. My name is Karanvir Singh Nayyar. I am a sailing second officer, and along with that, I am a maritime filmmaker and a podcaster at KSN Films. Now, this conversation is important just not for women, but for men as well. But let me tell you why it is important for women. We will be highlighting 3 points in this conversation. The first point would be evolution of the maritime industry for the women in shipping. The second will be the perspective and experience of women who are serving in this field. And third will be the ocean of opportunities which exist for women in maritime. Now, why is this important for men? Well, there will come a time in your life when you will be on board with a team which will have women with you. You need to understand their perspective so that the work can be carried out safely and effectively. With me are two trailblazing women from maritime. First, we have Captain Josephine Clark, and next we have Mariam, a rising star in global shipping. Coming to you, Captain Clark, your journey began in 1989 when women were few in this field. From cadet to master, charting to pilotage, you've not only broken barriers but redefined leadership in maritime. Welcome here, ma'am.
Thank you.
Then we have Mariam. She is the first female deck cadet from Saudi Arabia. Mariam, thank you for giving us your time today.
Thank you.
Now, Captain Clark, could you just give us a brief description of your journey so far?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I started as a deck cadet in Australia in 1989. There'd only been, I guess, a couple of trailblazers before me. I was the third female to be employed by my company. I was 18-year-olds then. Now I'm 55 and working as a marine pilot in Port Kembla, Australia. I've been in pilotage now for 19 years. I started when I was 34. And in the last year or two, I've taken on the presidency of the Australasian Marine Pilots Institute, which is our professional body representing the interests of marine pilots in Australia.
And that's why you're here with us, ma'am. Thank you so much. And we're going to share all the experiences you had and correlate it with the three highlight points which we're going to talk about. Yeah. Mariam, your story is quite unique. You were a dentist at first, and then you transitioned into the maritime industry. What inspired you to do so?
Actually, since I'm a child, I'm in love with the sea. So during the Corona pandemic lockdown, my brother, he's studying as a navigator. I saw his book. It was so interesting. So after 1 year of Corona, I decided to change my career to what I love.
Okay.
And then dentistry is one chapter of my life,
right.
But seafarers chapter 2, and I'm in love with this chapter.
Yep, and we're going to decode the same going forward. So we're going to start with the first segment of our podcast. This is a comparative analysis between what shipping was when Captain Clark used to sail versus what it is now when Mariam is sailing. So the first question is to you, Captain Clark. Tell us how it was when you first joined the vessel, when you stepped on the gangway. What were the pertinent hardships which you had to face? Take us back to 89, ma'am.
It's a long time ago, but and a different era in so many ways. The first ship I joined had a complement of 36, which is crazy by today's standards. I was fortunate in that my company always sent cadets to ships either 2 or 3 at a time, okay, because you felt as an 18-year-old that you'd just walked into your parents' home or a aged care facility. The life on board was so different then. This is pre-IESPS code. There was time for shore leave. There was the adventure of travelling around the world. But at the same time, it was really, I guess, a new thing for many people that had been sailing.
Right.
As I said, I was the third female taken on by my company, so it was relatively new. The reactions were different. The experiences were different. I would probably surprise people when I said that I had relatively few unpleasant experiences, but that's not to say it didn't happen. At that time, there was a lot of alcohol on board ships too, which was removed from my country's fleet in the early 90s and made a drastic difference to the culture on board. But yeah, so as unfortunately is the case, there's some, threats to your personal safety or just people treating you without respect.
How was the culture like on the ship in regards to having a woman on board? What was the mindset of the men around you? Were they cooperative, supportive?
Most of them, yes. As anyone that's sailed knows, after a time, you become like a big family, like a slightly dysfunctional family perhaps, but so you join a ship, and I think that first week or 2 weeks they try test you out a little bit, and if you can take that on the chin and be respectful to other people, I think you get reflected. The way you treat other people is reflected back to you, and then after a couple of weeks, I think you become part of the furniture, and all the crew are there like your brothers or uncles or what have you.
Any particular event you want to talk about which actually changed your mind or your perspective about being at sea and that first sail, which was perhaps not pleasant?
I don't know. I suppose the other thing is when you first start is, of course, you're young and you have no rank and no authority. You're at the bottom of the food chain. And so, the lack of respect in some regards and some veiled or not so veiled threats to your personal safety is not pleasant. But that can happen in any workplace, ashore, in an office, or likewise. So, unfortunately, it has happened, and also to my colleagues and peers that were young men in the industry had some very unpleasant experiences as well with bullying, etc. But
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Last question on this part, ma'am. What was the grievance redressal mechanism like? If you faced a problem, how would you communicate? Because in those times, internet was not available. Starlink has just come in. So I'm just assuming how tough it would be.
Oh, I think there was a safety management system with a procedure, but you would not ever follow that. It very much relied on the master of the ship you were on and whether they were somebody you could approach or not. And unfortunately, the reality is if you raised an issue, you'd probably be the one removed from the vessel as the problem, which should not be the case, but that's how it was. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you again for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'll come to Mariam now. Mariam, you are part of the new generation. You
Yes.
started your first sail in 2024,
Yes.
right? Tell us, how was your moment, the very first step you took on the gangway and entered the huge metal box? How was it?
Exciting.
Yeah?
And I'm lucky that I didn't face any challenges also, and I didn't face any problem. And my company, they put policies and provide for me privacy before I join, and prepare everything to make me comfortable. That's why I stay 10-month duration.
You
on
sailed for
board
10 months
continuously.
continuous.
Yes.
Wow. Any particular happy moment which you recollect?
Every
Everything.
moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Seems to be that there has been a lot of change with sea, like from ma'am's time to your time.
Yeah.
As you're saying, there haven't been any complaints or anything
No.
which you faced.
No.
So, but still, like the Secretary General was addressing, he still got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
So, coming to the second segment of this conversation, we are going to dive into the ocean of opportunities which exist for women in maritime. Captain Clark over here has a varied and a diverse range of experiences. So, I'll just put a personal anecdote. When I stepped on my first vessel, my only aspiration was to become a captain. Coming down to the question to you, Mariam. Now, you've been on a vessel. What do you aspire to become?
I want to become a captain.
Yep.
So take the master ticket.
You want to master ticket?
Yes.
Finish the studies?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So in this segment now, ma'am, Captain Clark, I would want you to mentor Mariam as to bringing awareness into what all opportunities lie there apart from sailing. And since you are the leader in this and at this moment, please guide her with what all have you experienced.
I think when you first start in this industry, you're not really aware of all of the opportunities that are available across. Once you have a certificate of competency, particularly Master Unlimited, the world really is your oyster. I think remaining sailing until you get that certificate is a cornerstone for any career. And then, depending where your interests lie, as we discussed earlier, you can go into the commercial side of shipping, into chartering, and that operational experience will always serve you well. Colleagues of mine that I studied with as cadets did law degrees externally and now maritime lawyers. Some work in the regulation space in Australia. There's also ship management or port authorities also need qualified mariners, or else marine pilotage, which is the best career. So once you get that Master Unlimited certificate of competency, it's the opportunities are really good. Yeah.
Thank you, Captain.
Right. So, Captain Clark, one piece of advice would you want to give her, like to start now, just to expand her horizon, that there is more than that, like you were discussing. What is an actionable step to get this away? Like, how do we generate this awareness? Where does she go and study about it? Or is it her own personal curiosity?
Well, I think, Mariam, as we discussed, you've already done your examinations, your sea time is underway, and then once you build that up to sit your Master Unlimited certificate of competency, get that as soon as you can. There's plenty of opportunities for promotion within the fleet. And as I did, when you spent 10 months at sea, so as much as you work hard, there is a bit of downtime there, which I used for some remote education. So plenty of education institutions that you can study remotely and add to your resume. Yep.
Thank you.
Mariam, you have any questions?
Yeah, we are in both. We are in different path now because I'm on VLCC and you were in bulk carrier and cargo and you are master harbor master. What is your advice to me in this moment and this level of me?
Well, the Master Unlimited Certificate of Competency it's the foundation for where my career went. My first pilotage job was in a small port where you were also the delegated harbour master. That was a big learning curve because seeing the industry and the safety of port management from the other side rather than from the shipmaster side was quite a learning curve, and the day-to-day functions of the harbour master with hydrographic survey and emergency management preparations and oil spill response and licensing of towage providers, lines providers, pilotage, service providers and everything. So to be honest, the shipping industry is so diverse, it's hard to cover it all in one
Podcast.
conversation. But whilst ever and I also always say yes to opportunities. Like some of these jobs that I've had, in hindsight, you were never ready. But once you get there, you just have to do your best. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we've covered how many ocean opportunities actually exist because ma'am has done the same.
Yes.
And we've also we have come to know how far we've come in terms of progress and development. But shipping still it's a majority of a male-dominated profession. Like, I'll give you an example. Even in the words we use, like the ranks, we call them motor, quote-unquote, man. So there is no gender neutrality as such. Now, what kind of changes, whether in mindset, culture, or everyday support, would you like to see going forward, Captain Clark?
I think visibility is so important. The shipping industry generally is invisible to the average citizen, particularly so in my country. So I went from being a small target when you start in the industry, not putting your head up so it gets shot off, be criticised or what have you. And now, because I'm getting towards the end of my career, I'm saying, no, we need visibility out there so that any young girls that love the water can say, oh yeah, that's a job I can do. It's really important. So the visibility is key. Also, I would suggest that a ship management company should send cadets and young people to ships in at least pairs, if not three. Right. So they have somebody of their own generation and age. They don't all have to be female, right. But just a little bit of support there. Probably they're the two key things.
Right. Mariam, from your side, what kind of a change would you want to see in the culture on board ships where men can aid to your journey on board?
They were, when I was on board, they were fine. All of them, they are respectful and they are professionalized treatment with me. So I don't feel that they must change anything.
Okay. But apart from the behavioral aspect or the cultural aspect, anything else would you want to see changing in the shipping for like more of people like women like you coming in this profession?
I advise all companies, they make instruction for a woman to be comfortable and supported by them.
Right. Captain Clark, now a lot of women must be watching this. Any message would you want to give them from your behalf for some words of inspiration or something?
Oh, I can just say that this is a fascinating and fantastic industry. There's so many sectors that you can go into with a foundation from a seagoing foundation. So it's always such a fantastic industry to meet people from other cultures, other countries. It's truly global, and don't hesitate if it's your passion.
Right. Yeah. Mariam, anything from your side?
I will say that go for it and trust yourself and be confident, and you are strong to be a seafarer.
Thank you. We have a quick rapid fire segment now, which I didn't tell you about yesterday. So I'm going to shoot it now. Okay. So the first question is for you, Captain Clark. What's one myth about women at sea you want to decode?
I think one myth is that all women will support you and men will be your roadblock. That is so not true. You can find people that are uncomfortable in what you're doing of any gender. And some of my best mentors and people I've learnt of were the classic older men, the captains or chief officers, and they could not have been more supportive and helpful. So, yeah.
Thank you. Mariam, next question is for you. What's the proudest moment in your career so far? Was it that dentistry switch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
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 This is my proud.
That's your proudest moment.
Yes.
Anything else which is coming in your
That's I decide this shift in the right moment.
mind? Right. Okay. Thank you. Captain Clark, next one is for you. The most inspiring women you have worked with and why?
I would like to name Captain Helen Cole, who was the first female taken on in my company. She went on to be a harbour master in Australia, have a long pilotage career and has since retired. And also Captain Liz Datson, who is another Australian trailblazing seafarer, the first one to be accepted to the Australian Maritime College, and also a Great Barrier Reef pilot and port pilot.
So shout out to all of them, right?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Oh, and one more perhaps, Jodie Ransom, who was also in my company, the second female taken on, who's now the CEO of Fremantle Ports.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Mariam, the last question is for you.
Okay.
One thing you wish male colleagues understood better?
Male colleagues?
Yeah.
They are equal to us. They can. They are more powerful and they can do everything also. So.
You mean you can also do the same?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll pause to honor the women who have navigated against the tide and the ones who are spotlight and shaping the future. So now we'll take questions from the audience, but first we just clear up and go behind. Captain Clark, Mariam, let's go. Of the event, and I have Mariam with me. Mariam, how was the live podcast with me?
It goes too smoothly, and it was inspiring and encouraging others, and encouraged me also myself. And Captain Josephine give us good advice, and you make me more comfortable when you are talking. And thank you so much for this broadcast and for your...
Thank you, Mariam, once again.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know Carl, but he's someone who's helping us also in raising awareness on social media. Carl, first of all, my question to you is, how was the program and how was the live podcast?
I thought it was fantastic. I think I'm a consultant here at the IMO, and I think it's incredibly refreshing to see a new form of media because the IMO is a very traditional. I mean, maritime is a very traditional sector. We don't typically try new things.
Absolutely.
But when I joined the IMO, I said to the communications team, we have to start engaging with the next generation of seafarers. They said to me, okay, how do we do that? And I said, well, there's this new form of media called podcasting. It's one way that we could possibly try. So we did the live podcast. We also did an exclusive special podcast that we can't talk about too much just yet.
Absolutely.
But more to come. However, what I would like to emphasize is that I truly believe, I'm a young person, Karanvir is a young person, the only way to connect to the next generations, who ultimately will be running the maritime industry eventually, is through new media, social media, podcasting, creating visuals that really engage to our next generation.
Thank you, Carl, again for everything you've done for us.
My pleasure.
And hopefully the message you're sending across is also reaching the right people.
And I think it's imperative to know as well that this is just the start. This is just the start.
Exactly, guys. So let's see how it goes in the coming future. For now, we'll head up and have a feedback session with everybody who was out there. Carl was the first one. He was the one who initiated all of this. So I wanted him to speak a few words. So
My pleasure.
thanks, Carl.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it, brother.